For the next 1 hour, let's talk about roofing systems, okay? Roofing solutions. And we're joined by the CEO of MRM Limited, Manish Mehra. He's here to talk to us about MRM and what they do and the warranty of the products they produce. Good morning, Manish.
Good morning.
Karibu sana to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
You know, we'll be talking about how to make sure that our roof is fine. To welcome you, though, we are going to have the day's proverb. Now, the day's proverb usually comes from our friend C.T. Muga. This week, he's decided it's not going to be from any particular country. This week's proverbs are going to come from a book.
Yes, there is a famous African author who comes from Nigeria known as Chinua Achebe. And in his book, Things Fall Apart, analysis have been done of the proverbs that are mentioned within the book and even categorized into what sort of genre they fall into, what themes they fall into. So I picked up some of these proverbs, and that's what we are going to be looking at this week. But the reason is this. On the 17th of June, this book, Things Fall Apart, will be 65 years old. I was mentioning to my colleagues earlier on, I am 3 months older than this book. So that was in response to when you asked me when my birthday is. Now, if you can't do the arithmetic, I really can't help you. Yes.
Okay. Can I do the arithmetic? I'm good. I know.
Okay. The proverb. Those whose palm kernels, in other words, not kennel as in where dogs live, were cracked for them by a benevolent spirit should not forget to be humble.
Those whose palm kernels were cracked for them by a benevolent spirit should not forget to be humble.
Yes. Those on whom good fortune has shone should not forget where the good fortune has come from.
Can I help a little bit?
Please do help.
So palm kernels is the remnant. So when you crush the palm fruit and you extract the pulp and the oil, you remain with a really hard nut. And inside is a little like fleshy, maybe hard to fleshy seed that kids would then take and crack and eat. But it is very hard
to crack.
And most times somebody would need to take a heavy stone and crack it for you. Kids would hurt themselves. I remember doing it as a child. Kids would hurt themselves trying to crack the nut. So your folks or somebody else, you know, with a little bit more strength would take it and crack the nut, and then you could eat the thing inside. So if you got somebody to crack many nuts for you and you have 10 that you can eat, it was a great thing.
Never forget it. Manish, do you relate with this proverb?
In a different sense, when you explained it more, sometimes, we think that we contribute to a lot of good things which happen, we start giving ourselves the benefit of that. But, the Lord says that thing could have been performed by anybody else. It's just that you have been chosen to be there at that time. So make the best use of what opportunities you have been given and do your best. So you are placed in a situation by providence. Maybe it's relating not completely to that, but that's what I take it out.
It's perfect.
I think it relates directly.
It's perfect. You've related it very, very directly. Yes.
Manish, tell us about MRM. So we've known Mabati rolling mills. We've seen, adverts for it. We have seen those who have traveled down Mombasa Road have seen the factory where it is just here in Molongo and others. Tell us about it. What's this company?
Yeah. So Mabati Rolling Mills was started more than 60 years ago. In fact, it was 1 year before Kenya's independence in 1961. And it was the genesis of two gentlemen's efforts, Dr. Manu Chandaria and Dr. Dhirubhai Shah. So there are two families, the Chandarias and the Shahs, who came together and founded this company. The company's name was not Mabati Rolling Mills when it was started. It has had various avatars. And the previous name, maybe you might recall, it was called Gal Sheet. Gal Sheet was one of the famous names.
This is the same company?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, I remember Gal Sheet.
Yeah. So the name changed somewhere around 30 years ago to Mabati Rolling Mills. And the company started basically to provide, a cover to the, to protect the people in a, if I were to say in a bigger sense what the purpose was. And that time it was all galvanized sheets basically. And then in the year of in 99, the company brought in a new technology which is called alu-zinc, which was a better technology for corrosion resistance. And that is what we have been making since that time. Subsequent to that, we introduced color, because earlier it was all plain sheets, what you see mostly around.
Yeah.
But when the income level started rising and people wanted a better product, then the company introduced colored sheets. And this was in the year 2005. And then we have been making these, and in those days, there was not much competition as well. There were not many companies into this field. But in the last few years, competition has really intensified, especially in the last 10 years or so. There are many players. There are big players who are manufacturing in Kenya. And then there are a lot of importers who are getting in material for independent profilers. So it has really intensified. The consumers' expectations have also changed over the years. And but the company has, always remained at the forefront of technology and innovation. And of course, it is the first and foremost objective is to make sure that it keeps growing in this market, and to provide the best quality products which the consumers can afford.
Do you still maintain the market share in this sector?
Market share, Eric, there has been a challenge. There has been a stress on the market share in the last few years. And it was compounded due to the shortages which arose during the COVID period, when supply chains got affected. So a lot of companies could not get access to steel supplies. And during that time, the proliferation of the local, profilers, it enhanced. And, once the consumers, start using some other material, and this is something which you do not see a bad quality immediately.
Yes.
Because when you put the roof on the head, the color will remain okay. It will look good for 2-3 years. And if the price is, say, 20% cheaper, then you might go for it. And especially in the times when the income levels are under stress. So this is what has happened in the last few years. We have had some pockets. It has not been uniform, but there are some pockets where, yes, our share has dwindled. So I would admit that. And yes, we are now on the path to recovering that.
But there's something that you've said here. This is a lot of investment in technology, investment in knowledge as well. And that would cost a lot. There are other players, like you've said, who've come in and they're just local profilers. Others are importing, and people are looking at costs. When the consumer starts looking at cost, the consumer then, unless they're aware, they forget about quality and what it means to actually have a proper roof over your head. What is it that a consumer should really be thinking of when they're buying roofing solutions? Yeah.
So, for market leaders like MRM, the first and foremost task is to make sure that the value proposition for its brands is well set. And there is a price-value equation which we have to consistently keep examining. That even if the consumer is paying 20% more, what is it that 20% for? So the task becomes communication of the value which he gets from our brands. And we have been embarking on that journey in terms of communicating to the customer that if he is buying this brand from MRM, it will last that much longer, and hence, the price which you are paying right now is probably worth it. It's a tough ask, and it's not so easy to again it comes back to that mathematics thing. But that's what all the market leaders do. And that is one. Second is through our extensive network of distributors and retailers across the country. We make sure that the product is available in as many shops which sell Mabati as possible. So on one hand, we create brand awareness, we do the communication, and when the consumer goes there in the market and buys, if he or she does not find the product, then also we lose at that stage. So these two tasks go hand in hand, creating awareness and ensuring availability. Because if you miss out on one of them, then it's a challenge.
Yeah.
If indeed quality then is directly attached to the cost, and the competition, you say, may not necessarily offer the value and the quality that you do, what hinders you from producing the same material, the same product that may not be as pricey, but which has guarantees that one can actually rely on? Meaning, what prevents you from diversifying?
Yes, that's a good question, Mr. Buga. You know that So this is clear that we have to offer the best quality.
Yes.
That is right. And we have to, second is also important that, we are not an elitist company. We make products for all segments, whether it is at the entry segment, mid segment, and then the top segment. Although sometimes when you talk of technology and innovation, what comes to mind is that the company would be, pricey. The products would be pricey. We are not that. So that is what we are doing. We are going to promote a brand which is not that expensive, but it still comes with those warranties which the consumer expects. So in fact, we have recently gone on radio just a few days ago with promoting that brand. It is called Dumurangi. It is a colored product. At the first step, when the consumer wants to graduate up from Dumuzas, which is the unpainted product, which the company has. So we are going to promote this product in certain regions. We are, of course, we are not saying that nobody in other regions cannot buy the product. But like, for example, Western is a strong market for us, which has got little better income levels, Western Kenya. The Central and the Rift Valley, that is where the income levels are little low. So that market, they prefer little cheaper products. So we are promoting this brand more in those regions. We have just started. So, and also we have come out with, we have economized the product by just giving a little lesser width to the sheet. We have done our studies that technically the sheet will still cover the roofs, but it will make the product a little more economical for the consumer. So we have just embarked on these particular things for this brand. And as you said, Mr. Buga, there will be other ways also. We will keep exploring other ways, how we can, keep offering the products in a manner in which it reaches the consumer in a more economical manner.
Sure. You mentioned that, a lot of things change. You talk about market share changing, especially after COVID. So we saw that a lot of things also suffered when it came to then counterfeits. Because the nature of buying changed, the nature of supply also changed. Has this been a challenge where you see that there are goods in the market maybe mirroring what you've been able to do, and how then have you been able to counter that?
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Due to the shortage which occurred in the market, the imports came in, and we face challenges on two counts. One is the counterfeiting, the other is substandard. And in Kenya, what we have seen more are the substandard products. Counterfeiting is something which we have observed in markets outside Kenya, DRC in particular. But I will talk about Kenya. So substandard products have come in. And, when you pick up those sheets, I have seen some of those sheets, they are just like paper. Yeah. So, I wonder when people put on their houses and if a strong wind comes, then what is going to happen?
Wow.
Yeah. So, with the help of...
So how do they get into the country? When
Yeah.
you talk about substandard roofing solution means that, like you said, if you're putting just the paper on your roof,
Yeah.
how much cheaper is it from?
Yeah. So it can be like between 20 to 40% cheaper
Oh, okay.
than what we have to offer. And we have been working with authorities to counter that, and along with other industry players who are the local manufacturers, along with KAM, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. So there have been some successful initiatives in ensuring that those substandard products are seized and the sales of those products are prohibited. So that we are taking the assistance of government agencies for that. So we have had some successes, but there is a battle which has to be continuously fought. Because, you do it once, then those things lie low for a period of 3 to 6 months, and they resurface.
If you were to estimate, how much are we talking about in terms of availability of this substandard product in the market, in terms of percentage of the overall market, or in terms of numbers?
Yeah. So I can give you percentage. Around, say, 25 to 30% of the products in the market would fall under this category. The local manufacturers, they comprise around 2/3 of the market, or 70%. The rest is what is coming in.
And it's substandard.
Yeah, largely it is substandard.
That is huge, Manish. 30% is a big issue. 30% is, it impacts also into tax revenues for the government.
Absolutely. And
30% talks about safety of 30% of newly built homes in the country. 30% is huge. We have an anti-counterfeit authority. We've got, of course, the Kenya Bureau of Standards and all the others. How do they manage to evade all these watchful authorities?
So we had a launch of MRM warranty on 8th of February at our Athi River office, where we also had a media roundtable where some of these agencies were representative. Both of what you have mentioned, Eric, the senior officials were there. And we had a healthy discussion about these things. And how they evade is on two fronts. One is under declaring the volume, the tonnage which comes in, and under declaring the price at which it comes in. So, of course, we need and we seek the support of the government agencies to check these things when they come into the country at the port. Some of the things which are stated is, how to really test the sheets. And again, it involves destructive as well as non-destructive testing. And some of those, equipment need to be available. And then the question is always, how much one can test. In fact, in some countries, what I've heard, the industry players have come together and a kind of fund has been created to make sure that the government tests each and every coil which comes in. But then that fund has come by the industries.
Yes.
Here, there has been no such initiative till now
Sure.
to do that.
I mean, it seems to be that a lot of times you only then know what has come in that has not met the mark of quality or that actually is counterfeit or substandard after the fact. That it's after the purchase or it's after the construction that you may have found this. So, I mean, you talk about having been in operation for over half a century. Here we are looking at. How then would you say, what is the best practice that you would ask people to look out for? I mean, somebody's bill. How would you advise that folks say, this is the mark of quality that we're looking for? I mean, how would you then know the difference between a sheet of paper and,
Yes,
a proper, piece of equipment from MRI?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Andu. So what we have done is, we have a standard list of the quality marks which the consumer can look at. And we have this point of sale material which we are putting up at our retailers. And we say that when you buy Dumuzas, please look for this jet printing which is there. And a new regulation has come in, which is just from last year, that there is a standardization mark which has to be put on all the sheets which are being produced Now, these marks are not linked to the place of manufacture, which is Mariakani. But any place where a sheet is being profiled is considered a manufacturing center. So there are these SMs or standardization marks which are issued by the authorities for each of the centers. Like we have profiling centers apart from Athi River in Eldoret, in Nakuru. So when we will print the sheets, we are just about to implement that. The back of the sheets which will have the standardization mark, the coating thickness which is there, like how many grams per square meter of the aluminum zinc coating which is there, and what is the color brand which is there. And there are standards which are available, like the East African standards, that if it is resin coat, how many, now we are giving a primer and 2 coats of color on that. So what is the total coating thickness which has to be there? Those standards are available, and we keep testing our products meet the standards. So consumer he or she can make out from the mark from the back of the sheet. There is actually a jet print which will say that this is, and it is completely traceable right to the coil from which it has been produced. So this is again a matter of continuous education which we will do, and which I believe that like not that I feel, but I believe that the consumers will take it up, because the Kenyan consumers I have seen, they are active. I am saying in terms of following these things.
When you have a quality product and you can even state guarantees that this quality product provides, it's like a magnet for counterfeiting in my mind, because you've already done the heavy lifting and you've said this thing is excellent, it is good. Now, counterfeit is essentially imitation. So how do you prevent people who are in the counterfeit business, because that is a whole business on its own, from counterfeiting even some of these safety marks that you have, these things that are supposed to distinguishing? How does someone tell that this is a counterfeited security mark and this is the genuine one?
Yeah, it is not difficult to copy those things. And I was in the paint industry for bulk of majority of my career. And in fact, there counterfeiting is much more widely prevalent in the paint industry. And it was not easy. People can copy easily. Here, what we can only attempt to do. I'm saying we cannot eliminate, because we can only do what, as an organization, what we can do to spread awareness. But we also have our legal and security teams which actually engage with the distributors, that as and when they find such material, then they inform us, and then we work with the government authorities also to get those goods seized. So, but it's a constant battle, which we cannot win that battle, but we can only through consumer education and through communicating what MRM stands for, and what are the drawbacks of using a poor quality roof. Only we can aim to move in that direction.
And I think that's a very important point for people just to understand. So what? So what if I buy a Mabati sheet that Manish says is bad quality? Sini Mabati. Is Mabati? You'll come and explain to us why it's important then to consider quality and why we need to avoid the substandard. But let's take a break. It's 7:30. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Manish Mehra is the CEO of Mabati Rolling Mills. He's here to tell us about MRM, the work that they do, and the product warranty that they have launched. And they're saying if you buy MRM products, it comes with this warranty. What does that warranty stand for? How do you identify the warranty? How do you get into good products?
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Manish Mehra is the CEO of Mabati Rolling Mills. We're talking about product warranty. Manish, you started asking ourselves, so what is it that somebody looks out for when they are buying? What do they think of when they think of buying Mabati? Number one, roof over their head. That is the basic. Second thing
is, how will it look? Like, whether it will help my status,
Okay.
or whether it complements the lifestyle which I have. Because as what I've been here for less than 2 years, but what I've seen is as people get affluent, they would like to have a house in their countryside.
Yes.
They would like to build a villa, or maybe a suburb of Nairobi, or even outside. So and there they want only the best, actually.
Yep.
And they do not want the plain sheets which we have to offer. They would like to have the tile profiles,
Yes.
which are the more premium ones. And now we have something even more premium called the stone coated tiles, which is called lifestyle. So they would want that. And in some of the advertisements also which we have done in the past, we have a family, the husband and wife and the children, when the roof has been put, then the neighbors come, and then they are all standing outside and proudly showing the roof to them. So these are some of the advertisements which we have done. I'm not saying we are unique in that.
It's about status. Then.
Right.
Status.
So you're thinking of a roof over your head, but on that roof must communicate something about you. Third thing.
Yeah. And that basically, how, of course, the roof then, of course, it should not have any scratches, or, it should not have any bends which are there.
Yeah.
So which all points to, it's not only about what goes on the sheet itself in terms of the metal and the paint. It's also in terms of how care has been taken to profile the sheets, which is done at different centers. So all that means that we have to keep the coils in a certain condition so that when they are put in the profiler, they come out well. So we have initiatives called product care, which we have embarked upon a few years ago, which is to say that every job which is done by the operations team at different centers, there is a certain way of stacking the coils, certain way of taking out the sheets from the profilers, certain way of stacking how many sheets in one bundle you need to keep, so that the workers can lift that properly and put on the truck. So it is a lot of those things as well. So it's like treating it as if when you think of an iron sheet, it looks like an industrial product. It's not one of those soaps or shampoos or not. But you have to give it that care.
Sure.
So that's what we try to encourage.
You mentioned earlier, and I think it's really important here in terms of quality control, that you can actually trace back a sheet to the original production and even the stack that it came from. And when we look at quality control, those things are very important, because like Eric talked about earlier, we're looking at sometimes, God forbid, a collapsed building, and you're not really able to trace to the very brick, to the very individual who signed off on something. So when you're looking at quality control and the process through which you want to go back, in an unfortunate situation, we often lack that control in terms of traceability. How do you see that has actually helped to maintain levels or index of quality in the market? How has it helped? Even for people to say, well, okay, this is somebody that I can trust then to use their product because I can see from end to end, production to use.
Yeah. So and what we have done is we have embarked upon tightening our complaint handling timelines. Earlier, it used to take, from the time the complaint has been raised by a consumer, which is either a faded roof or, those things can happen. Till the time the final replacement or the revision has been done, it used to take a lot of time. It could take up to 2 months' time. Yeah. So what we have done is that now we want to crash this time to less than a month. So the moment the complaint is logged in, it's in our system. And then we send personnel to the site to investigate. Because you still need to see, as Mr. Buga, whether the sheet is indeed ours or not. Because here, when a complaint comes, the first instance which comes to mind to the consumer is MRM product. And there have been many instances when the people have gone, it has not been an MRM product. It has been some other company's product. So that's the first step, the investigation. And then when that is done, they relay back to our quality team in Mariakani to do the testing, and we have the records of the tests which have been done on those sheets in the quality control lab in Mariakani, and whether indeed there was a problem or not. And there are cases where there have been problems where we say that yes, the complaint is accepted. It's a genuine complaint, and we will replace the roofs. Sometimes the replacements do take time, because replacing a roof is not like you just any other product, you have a defective piece, you just go and give it back to them, because sometimes there is a small solar panel on the roof, and then the consumer has to really inconvenience himself or herself to maybe let the people come, remove that, and then we give the sheet. Sometimes these things, they do take time. And there are also cases where consumers say, no, it's not only the sheet, you also give us the labor for redoing the sheet. It's not only that. So we listen to that. So
something that comes to mind, when you have a product, a quality product, in your research and in your findings and in your experience, what do you find attracts people more? The prestige that accompanies the product? Is it the quality, or is it a combination of the two?
Yeah, what comes first? Prestige or the quality? In MRM's case, I can say it's the prestige which comes first, because the consumers place immense faith on MRM, and because the fact that it has been there for so long. Some of them, they associated with the owners of the company, and those owners today are doing wonderful work. Dr. Chandaria is very well known. So they associate with that, and they say, no, we want to use MRM. And it is in that spirit that we would like to kind of give back to the consumer, that because they place this kind of trust and faith in us, then we cannot fail them. And that has been one of the primary reasons for launching the product warranty. And of course, the trust has come over usage only, which is the quality part of it. But in a typical lifetime, a consumer maybe roofs maybe twice maximum, not more than that, because a good roof can last for 15-20 years. So practically, you do not get too many chances to build brands. Unlike consumer products, fast-moving, where the usage is extremely high, it's like you use on a daily basis. Here, if you miss a consumer right now to a profiler, for whatever reason, whether
They're
it's
gone
price
for 15 years.
or availability, then it's gone 15 years. Or I'm saying if there's some problem happens, then he or she can come back in 3-4 years. So it's a very, it's not an easy task to keep communicating, and you have to catch the consumer at that cycle of purchase where the decision is being taken. So yes, to answer Mr. Buga, is that prestige which comes in case of MRM, that if we go and if we have done researches, how many consumers think of roofing with MRM out of 10? 9 think of roofing with MRM. But what's our market share? It's not more than 4. We lose 5 for various reasons. Some of which are, consumer goes, our product is not available at that time. Or the consumer wants the product in 2 days. Because a roof is something which, he or she is finishing the house, and then, in the end, it's like...
That's the point, they want a roof.
The point, they want it, and they want it like now.
Pronto.
Yeah.
So like in 2 days. And some of these tasks can be done by a smaller player who's next door to them. Like in Nakuru or in Kisumu, there are profilers. So he will go to the next door profiler, and whereas we will supply to him maybe in a week or 10 days, but sometimes they don't want to wait. So those challenges are there. But
so with prestige comes cost, right? So where do you place yourselves in the market in terms of how much then it costs? Are you the most expensive?
So cost leadership is something which we are still on our journey actually. We have not yet I would not say that we have reached there actually as being a cost leader. Now, when I say a cost leader, it does not mean to make low quality products. It means that every part of the organization is tight in terms of the efficiencies which we are able to derive, whether it is in manufacturing, whether it is in servicing, reaching the product to the last mile. We are still on that journey. In fact, that is one of the key focus areas in the next few years, that we want to achieve cost leadership as well.
How do you combine prestige and economy? Because people want something that provides that image of quality, but they would be perhaps happier if they also knew that they could get that prestige and not pay as much as one ordinarily could for such a premium project. So how is this balanced? Meaning right up the scale, somebody wants the sort of product that when you say premium,
Yes.
everything attached to it, you know full well this one is going to cost you. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's right.
And yet, you can have something which is probably even half that cost or slightly less, but the prestige isn't actually lost. It's just that there'll be a little less of what the other product has. It's like the first and business class. There's prestige in both. One just has a little more than what the other one has, but you cannot say that you're going to be uncomfortable. And you cannot say that things are really not as good as they ought to be.
And you're on the same plane.
And you're on the same plane, as good in the same destination.
Yeah. So that is where technology comes in. That is where investments come in. And we have just done that. We have just commissioned our stone cord manufacturing line in Athi River just less than 6 months ago. And with it, what we are offering is we are making a product which is made here instead of the product which was being imported. With that, the cost comes down because then we were paying duties on the imports. Now we are manufacturing. And we are not retaining the savings. We have passed on that to the consumer actually. Today, if you go to buy our stone-coated tiles, they are as competitive as they can be. So that is where, to answer your question, we are offering the best at a price which is extremely competitive.
You know, let me give you a parallel and where my mind was going with this. I am looking at some of the vehicles that were imported into the country when I was a much younger person. I was a much younger person at some point. And the bare minimum that some of these vehicles had, and they were supposedly tropicalized because they were imported. And then there's a small country in Southeast Asia called Japan came into that same market. What were considered extras became normal, like a radio. When other people caught up with the radio, then they had a radio plus a cassette player. Then when others caught up, now they had a whole music system in the car as just normal. So it didn't matter what size of car it was, but you got it and you knew, I have something similar to what someone else who has perhaps a far more expensive car has. I'm just giving you use that as a parallel, right? Now, that's what was running through my mind, and I'm thinking, okay, I want to buy corrugated iron sheets, but how do I combine the budget that I have with prestige, where I know, okay, I'm not at the very top of this particular prestige ladder, but I'm not doing too badly with this one here. I'm actually okay. Where that person who is at the top of the ladder is chatting, I can also contribute and say, well, actually, this product of mine is also, yes.
Yeah, I can attempt to answer your question. We do not want to sell only sheets. We want to sell a complete solution, what we call the building solutions, basically. So along with the sheets, we have the fasteners, we have the polycarbonate sheets, we have the accessories which are valleys and flashings which go. So it's a complete package. We want to be the one-stop shop in building solutions. So then, because the consumer, if he or she were to buy those things from some other source, then it would be like paying a certain cost to some other supplier, which might not be so convenient to even find those products at the right time. So we are pitching ourselves to, so more and more in sheets, we will become competitive. in the sheets alone.
Yeah.
Because we'll sell as a package.
Yeah.
Because the market is going to change in the next 5 years. And when I'm talking not only in Kenya, in East Africa, there are a lot of new capacities which are coming in this industry in the next 3 to 5 years.
So it becomes a bigger offering for clients.
That's right.
I'm thinking then, in terms of, like you said, creating awareness and walking the journey with a customer, building on what MRM is. MRM is a brand, it's a well-known brand. It has got heritage. It's over 60 years old. And like you said, many people, when they think of roofing solutions, they'll think MRM. Then you lose them somewhere along the way. Part of the reason is because they don't know what to think of when they start to build a home. It's just capturing us at that point of dreaming of owning a home. From the moment of deciding that this is where I want to build my home, to starting to build, to digging up the foundation. And if MRM is involved in walking the journey with me, then I need to understand, all right, so this is the house I've built, and these are the roofing needs for my home, so that MRM can then work ahead in terms of making sure that by the time I need the roof to arrive, the roof is actually here. So, and this is where technology comes in. You've said you've actually used a lot of technology, you've embraced technology. How are you using technology for your distribution and customer support?
We launched an e-commerce platform more than 2 years ago. And that was for consumers to come online, come to our platform, and then be able to buy the products. We are going into another phase of that platform, which is to connect our distributors to place orders directly on this thing. And we would also explore how we can get visibility to their inventories, so that we can set up some kind of reorder levels. Of course, there you need to have that kind of trust with the distributors, because sometimes it's not so easy for them to give you their information
Access to their own, yes.
Yeah. But that is something which we would like to do in terms of taking the next step there.
How do you think, I'm going to come back because I think it's one of those challenges that you face on a daily basis, and I'm coming back to the substandard. But then looking at it from a government point of view, that oftentimes governments grapple with how then do we deal with protecting citizenry against then having to buy or consume, substandard or, counterfeit, whatever it is. How do you think, as, obvious leaders in the market, that you can then buddy up with government to then be able to tackle this substandard issue? Because I see it as what you're practicing in that space. Government is focusing on a daily basis. How do we rid, the economy or the country of substandard or counterfeit? But if there are leaders in the market who can say, well, we know what it ought to be, we can help to set regulation. Can you see yourselves in a partnership with government and say, well, look, let's work together to make sure that what we are delivering across the market is top-notch quality?
Yeah. So what we are doing is we work actively with the government to build or recommend standards for some of the newer things which are coming in. Like some of the newer things which have been introduced in the market are the pre-engineered buildings through our subsidiary called Safal Building Systems. Before that there was a standard for trussing system, which is called Ultraspan. And now currently we are in the process of having a standard for cold rooms, which are made with the panels, insulated panels. Because panel is a big market here. Right now many of the things are being imported, but we have started manufacturing last year. So one is which is working with the government to have these standards written. So that's where we give the inputs, being the industry experts. The other is in partnership with other industries and taking the umbrella of Kenya Association of Manufacturers, which is KAM, to engage with the government on a regular basis and to partner with them for any initiatives, any support which is required from our side to give the info, because sometimes it's a matter of providing information. That information on what is substandard and what is quality. So we also have to be open as an industry to share that with the government And then I suppose it's a continuous engagement at different levels, and which we do. And we also have a lot of partnerships in the CSR space, which we do. With that also, helps that, it is not only for making profits. It is, there's a larger cause which the organization engages in terms of, providing that to the citizenry of Kenya.
Manish, thank you very much for coming in and sharing all the work that you are doing at MRM, and also creating awareness about the product warranty, and that if you go and buy an MRM product today, it comes in with the warranty. It tells you this is quality, and we can trace it back. Like you said, you can look at the mark, jet printed mark, and others that you are introducing for us to know this is quality and it's better. It's going to last you longer, give you more value for money than anything else in the market. It's important for all of us to know this. Manish Mehra is the CEO at Mabati Rolling Mills, that's MRM. He's been here this morning telling us about roofing solutions, the roofing solutions industry in Kenya, and the MRM product warranty. Keep it here for more conversations coming up in the next hour.